Hey y'all. All right, I'll give everybody a few minutes to filter in. That's so weird. What does that not do? Is the music playing for y'all? Okay. Yeah, it's supposed to be quiet. All right. Make sure that got posted on the Patreon. Yeah, playing music through this through Streamlabs is always weird. We're not going to be playing music the whole time though. Yeah, this art is by, let me see who did this. This art is by... I forgot that song just ends in that weird point so it can loop. Tom Kidd did this painting in the 80s, I want to say. He's done a lot of really cool stuff for the Dying Earth. So if you don't know Jack Vance is a kicking up to the boss grub. Is the alert box going to go off? I think it might not. Oh yeah, Sir Randall with the $100 dono there, kicking up to the boss grub. Thank you. Yeah, there were a lot of really amazing and very prolific fantasy authors in the 80s, and like the style of work they did completely fell off. Like if you look at like Larry Elmore's like Advanced Dungeons and Dragons second edition art, he's all over that. He did like all of the Dragonlance art back in the day. Really, really cool stuff. I mean, it's a little bit, oops, sorry about that. It's a little bit like, I don't want to say hokey. It feels a little bit like something you'd see on like a metal album cover in the 80s, like before metal got super dark. But it had this very like naturalistic and like lived in feel to it that was completely lost in the transition to third edition art. All right, and so Jack Vance is an author who wrote The Dying Earth, which is it's kind of like a world that he created to set a bunch of stories in. There's the first and most important book, I think, is the Tales from Dying Earth, which this first story is from, and it's about an Earth so far in the future that magic and technology are indistinguishable, and the humanity has kind of come and has its glory days are long behind it. The world is kind of going dark as the sun literally dies out. It's clear that like these are maybe not the last days, but kind of the sunsetting of humanity. And those themes would be expanded on in Book of the New Sun, and then that would be, you know, a massive inspiration for Dark Souls. And if you have played Dungeons and Dragons, you know about Vancian spellcasting. In Jack Vance's books, wizards would have to memorize spells that took up like actual like physical storage space in their brain, so much that you could only hold, you know, a couple of them. And a lot of times, at the beginning of a story, a wizard would pick his spells in the way that like James Bond gets his gadgets at the beginning of a Bond movie. And then the whole time you're thinking like, well, how's he going to use that one? So, Yaman Abdul Rahman, hello, hello. And yeah, so let's get to reading. Pardon me if I'm a little, if my speech is a little mush-mouthed today. I'm medicated, and it's making me very tired. Through the dim forest came Liane the Wayfarer, passing along the shadowed glades with a prancing, light-footed gait. He whistled, he caroled, he was plainly in high spirits. Around his finger he twirled a bit of wrought bronze, a circlet graved with angular, crabbed characters, now stained black. By excellent chance he had found it, banded around the root of an ancient yew. Hacking it free, he had seen the characters on the inner surface, rude, forceful symbols, doubtless the cast of a powerful antique rune. Best take it to a magician and have it tested for sorcery. Liane made a wry mouth. There were objections to the course. Sometimes it seemed as if all living creatures conspired to exasperate him. Only this morning the spice merchant. What a tumult he had made dying! How carelessly he had spewed blood on Liane's cockcomb sandals! Still, thought Liane, every unpleasantness carried with it compensation. While digging the grave, he had found the bronze ring. And Liane's spirits soared. He laughed in pure joy. He bounded, he leapt. His green cape flapped behind him. The red feather in his cap winked and blinked. But still, Liane slowed his step. He was no whit closer to the mystery of the magic, if magic the ring possessed. Experiment, that was the word. He stopped where the ruby sunlight slanted down without hindrance from the high foliage, examined the ring, traced the glyphs with his fingernail. He peered through. A faint film, a flicker. He held it at arm's length. It was clearly a coronet. He whipped off his cap, set the band on his brow, rolled his great golden eyes, preened himself. Odd, it slipped down on his ears. It tipped across his eyes, darkness. Frantically, Liane clawed it off. A bronze ring, a hand's breadth in diameter. Queer. He tried again. It slipped down over his head, his shoulders. His head was in the darkness of a strange separate space. Looking down, he saw the level of the outside light dropping as he dropped the ring. Slowly down, now it was around his ankles, and in sudden panic, Liane snatched the ring up over his body, emerged blinking in the maroon light of the forest. He saw a blue-white, green-white flicker against the foliage. It was a Tok'man, mounted on a dragonfly, and light glinted from the dragonfly's wings. Liane called sharply, "Here, sir! Here, sir!" The Tok'man perched his mount on a twig. "Well, Liane, what do you wish?" "Watch now and remember what you see." Liane pulled the ring over his head, dropped it to his feet, lifted it back. He looked up to the Tok'man, who was chewing a leaf. "And what did you see?" "I saw Liane vanish from mortal sight except for the red curled toes of his sandals. All else was as air." "Ha!" cried Liane. "Think of it. Have you ever seen the like?" The Tok'man asked carelessly, "Do you have salt? I would have salt." Liane cut his exultation short, eyed the Tok'man closely. "What news do you bring me?" 3 Arabs killed Floregin the Dream Builder and burst all his bubbles. The air above his manse was colored for many minutes with the flitting fragments." "A gram." "Lord Condive the Golden has built a barge of carven mo wood 10 lengths high, and it floats on the river Scalm for the regatta, full of treasure." 2 grams. "A golden witch named Lith has come to live on the Thomber Meadow. She is quiet and very beautiful." 3 grams. "Enough," said the Tok'man, and leaned forward to watch while Liane weighed out the salt in a tiny balance. He packed it in small panniers hanging on each side of the ribbed thorax, then twitched the insect into the air and flicked off through the forest vaults. Once more Liane tried the bronze ring, and this time brought it entirely past his feet, stepped out of it, and brought the ring up into the darkness beside him. What a wonderful sanctuary! A hole whose opening could be hidden inside the hole itself. Down with the ring to his feet, step through, bring it up his slender frame and over his shoulders, out into the forest with a small bronze ring in his hand. Ha! And off to Thomber Meadow to see the beautiful Golden Witch. Her hut was a simple affair of woven reeds, a low dome with 2 round windows and a low door. He saw Lith at the pond, bare-legged among the water shoots, catching frogs for her supper. A white kirtle was gathered up around her thighs. Stock still she stood, and the dark water rippled rings away from her slender knees. She was more beautiful than Liane could have imagined, as if one of Floregin's wasted bubbles had burst here on the water. Her skin was pale, creamed, stirred gold. Her hair denser, wetter gold. Her eyes were like Liane's own, great golden orbs, and hers were wide apart, tilted slightly. Liane strode forward and planted himself on the bank. She looked up startled, her ripe mouth half open. "Behold, Golden Witch, here is Liane. He has come to welcome you to Thomber, and he offers you his friendship, his love." Lith bent, scooped a handful of slime from the bank, and flung it into his face. Shouting the most violent curses, Liane wiped his eyes free, but the door to the hut had slammed shut. Liane strode to the door and pounded it with his fist. "Open and show your witch's face, or I burn the hut!" The door opened, and the girl looked forth, smiling. "What now?" Liane entered the hut and lunged for the girl, but 20 thin shafts started out, 20 points pricking his chest. He halted, eyebrows raised, mouth twitching. "Down, Steel," said Lith. The blade snapped from view. "So easily could I seek your vitality," said Lith, "had I willed." Liane frowned and rubbed his chin as if pondering. "You understand," he said earnestly, "what a witless thing you do. Liane is feared by those who fear fear, loved by those who love love, and you—" his eyes swam the golden glory of her body. "You are ripe as a sweet fruit. You're eager. You glisten and tremble with love. You please Liane, and he would spend much warmness on you." "No, no," said Lith with a slow smile. "You are too hasty." Liane looked at her in surprise. "Indeed?" "I am Lith," said she. I am what you say I am. I ferment, I burn, I seethe. Yet I may have no lover but him who has served me. He must be brave, swift, cunning. I am he, said Liane. He chewed his lip. It is not usually thus. I detest this indecision. He took a step forward. Come, let us. She backed away. No, no, you forget. How have you served me? How have you gained the right to my love? Absurdity, stormed Liane. Look at me. Note my perfect grace, the beauty of my form and feature, my great eyes as golden as your own, my manifest will and power. It is you who should serve me. That is how I will have it. He sank upon a low divan. Woman, give me wine. She shook her head. In my small domed hut I cannot be forced. Perhaps outside on Thomber Meadow, but in here among my blue and red tassels with 20 blades of steel at my call, you must obey me. So choose. Either arise and go, never to return, or else agree to serve me on one small mission, and then have me and all my ardor. I struggle to understand what LeBron's ring could... Oh, right, because they bronze ring, now that I've said it. Sorry, my throat's a little... Also, is the chat box up? Yes, it is. Liane sat straight and stiff. An odd creature, the Golden Witch, but indeed she was worth some exertion, and he would make her pay for her impudence. Very well, then, he said blandly. I will serve you. What do you wish? Jewels? I can suffocate you in pearls, blind you with diamonds. I have 2 emeralds the size of your fist, and they are green oceans where the gaze is trapped and wanders forever among vertical green prisms. No, no jewels. An enemy, perhaps. Ha! So simple. Liane will kill you 10 men. 2 steps forward, thrust, thus, he lunged, and souls go thrilling up like bubbles in a beaker of mead. No, I want no killing. He sat back, frowning. What then? She stepped to the back of the room and pulled at a drape. It swung aside, displaying a golden tapestry. The scene was a valley bounded by 2 steep mountains, a broad valley where a placid river ran past a quiet village and so into a grove of trees. Golden was the river, golden the mountains, golden the trees, gold so various, so rich, so subtle that the effect was like a many-colored landscape. But the tapestry had been rudely hacked in half. Liane was entranced. Exquisite! Exquisite! Lith said, It is the magic valley of Ariventa so depicted. The other half has been stolen from me, and its recovery is the service I wish of you. Where is the other half? Demanded Liane. Who is the dastard? Now she watched him closely. Have you ever heard of Chun? Chun the Unavoidable? Liane considered. No. He stole my half to the tapestry and hung it in a marble hall, and this hall is in the ruins to the north of Caen. Ha! Muttered Liane. The hall is by the Place of Whispers, and is marked by a leaning column with a black medallion of a phoenix and a 2-headed lizard. I go, said Liane. He rose. 1 day to Caen, 1 day to steal, 1 day to return, 3 days. Lith followed him to the door. Beware of Chun the Unavoidable, she whispered. And Liane strode away whistling, the red feather bobbing in his green cap. Lith watched him, then turned and slowly approached the golden tapestry. Golden Ariventa, she whispered. My heart cries and hurts with longing for you. The Durna is a swifter, thinner river than the Scaum, its bosomy sister to the south, and where the Scaum wallows through a broad dale, purple with horse blossom, pocked white and gray with crumbling castles, the Durna has sheared a steep canyon overhung by forested bluffs. An ancient flint road long ago followed the course of the Durna, but now the exaggeration of the meandering has cut into the pavement, so that Liane, treading the road to Caen, was occasionally forced to leave the road and make a detour through the banks of thorn and tube grass which whistled in the breeze. The red sun, drifting across the universe like an old man creeping to his deathbed, hung low to the horizon while Liane breasted Porphyron's scar, looked across the white-walled Caen and the blue bay of San Real beyond. Directly below was the marketplace, a medley of stalls selling fruits, slabs of pale meat, mollusks from the slime banks, dull flagons of wine, and the quiet people of Caen moved among the stalls, buying their sustenance, carrying it loosely to their stone chambers. Beyond the marketplace rose a bank of ruined columns, like broken teeth legs to the arena built 200 feet from the ground by the Mad King Shin. Beyond, in a grove of bay trees, the glossy dome of the palace was visible, where Khandiv the Golden ruled Cain and as much of Askelaise as one could see from the vantage on the Porphyrian Scar. The Derna, no longer a flow of clear water, poured through a network of dank canals and subterranean tubes and finally seeped past rotting wharves into the Bay of San Real. A bed for the night, thought Liane, then to his business in the morning. He leapt down the zigzag steps back, forth, and came out to the marketplace. And now he put on a grave demeanor. Liane the Wayfarer was not unknown in Cain, and many were ill-minded enough to work him harm. He moved sedately in the shadow of the Panaon wall, through the narrow cobbled street bordered by old wooden houses glowing the rich brown of old stump water in the rays of the setting sun, and so came to a small square in the high stone face of the Magician's Inn. The host, a small fat man, sad of eye, with a small fat nose the identical shape of his body, was scraping ashes from the hearth. He straightened his back and hurried behind the counter of his little alcove. Liane said, "A chamber, well aired, and a supper of mushrooms, wine, and oysters." The innkeeper bowed humbly. "Indeed, sir, and how will you pay?" Liane flung down a leather sack taken this very morning. The innkeeper raised his eyebrows in pleasure at the fragrance. "The ground buds of the spathe bush, brought from a far land," said Liane. "Excellent, excellent. Your chamber, sir, and your supper at once." As Liane ate, several other guests of the house appeared and sat before the fire with wine, and the talk grew large and dwelt on wizards of the past and the great days of magic. "Great Fandal knew a lore want now forgot," said one old man with hair dyed orange. "He tied white and black strings to the legs of sparrows and sent them veering to his direction, and where they wove their magic woof, great trees appeared, laden with flowers, fruits, nuts, or bulbs of rare liqueurs. It is said that thus he wove the great Da forest on Sanra water." "Ha!" said a dour man in a garment of dark blue, brown, and black. "This I can do." He brought forth a bit of string, flicked it, whirled it, spoke a quiet word, and the vitality of the pattern fused the string into a tongue of red and yellow fire. One moment. Had a cough there. Nope, it's not done with me yet. This time I'm surely fine. He brought forth a bit of string, flicked it, whirled it, spoke a quiet word, and the vitality of the pattern fused the string into a tongue of red and yellow fire, which danced, curled, darted back and forth along the table, till the dour man killed it with a gesture. "And this I can do," said a hooded figure in a black cape sprinkled with silver circles. He brought forth a small tray, laid it on the table, and sprinkled therein a pinch of ashes from the hearth. He brought forth a whistle and blew a clear tone, and up from the tray came glittering motes, flashing in the prismatic colors red, blue, green, yellow. They floated up a foot and burst into coruscations of brilliant colors, each a beautiful star-shaped pattern, and each burst sounded like a tiny repetition of the original tone, the clearest, purest sound in the world. The motes became fewer, the magician blew a different tone, and again the motes floated up to burst in glorious ornamental spangles. Another time, another swarm of notes. At last the magician replaced his whistle, wiped off the tray, tucked it inside his coat, and lapsed back into silence. Yaman Abdul says, "How is your throat doing? Do you recover from the Rona?" Yeah, but I don't know. Still feels a little iffy. Now the other wizards surged forward, and soon the air above the table swarmed with visions, quivered with spells. One showed the group the 9 new colors of the ineffable charm and radiance. Another caused a mouth to form on the landlord's forehead and revile the crowd, much to the landlord's discomfiture, since it was his own voice. Another displayed a green glass bottle from which the face of a demon peered and grimaced. Another, a ball of pure crystal which rolled back and forward to the command of the sorcerer who owned it, and who claimed it to be an earring of the fabled master Sankaferen. Liane had attentively watched all, crowing in delight at the bottled imp, trying to cozen the obedient crystal from its owner without success. And Liane became pettish, complaining that the world was full of rock-hearted men, but the sorcerer with the crystal earring remained indifferent. And even when Liane spread out 12 packets of rare spice, he refused to part with his toy. Liane pleaded, I only wish to please the witch Lith. Please her with the spice, then. Liane said ingenuously, Indeed, she has but one wish. Or ingenuously, Indeed, she has but one wish, a bit of tapestry which I must steal from Chun the Unavoidable. And he looked from face to suddenly silent face. What causes such immediate sobriety? Ho! Landlord, more wine! The sorcerer with the earring said, If the floor swam ankle-deep with wine, the rich red wine of Tanvilcat, the leaden print of that name would still ride the air. Ha! Laughed Liane. Let only a taste of that wine pass your lips, and the fumes would erase all memory. See his eyes, came a whisper, great and golden. And quick to see, said Liane, and these legs quick to run, fleet as starlight to the waves, and this arm quick to stab with steel, and my magic, which will set me to a refuge that is out of all cognizance. He gulped wine from a beaker. Now behold, this is magic from ancient days. He set the bronze band over his head, stepped through, and brought it up inside the darkness. When he deemed that sufficient time had elapsed, he stepped through once more. The fire glowed. The landlord stood in his alcove. Liane's wine was at hand, but of the assembled magicians there was no trace. Liane looked about in puzzlement. And where are my wizardly friends? The landlord turned his head. They took to their chambers. The name you spoke of weighed on their souls. And Liane sat in frowning silence. The next morning he left the inn and picked a roundabout way to the old town, a grey wilderness of tumbled pillars, weathered blocks of sandstone, slumped pediments with crumbled inscriptions, flagged terraces overgrown with rusty moss. Lizards, snakes, and insects crawled the ruins. No other life did he see. Threading away through the rubble, he almost stumbled on a corpse, the body of a youth, one who stared at the sky with empty eye sockets. Liane felt a presence. He leapt back, rapier half bared, and a stooped old man stood watching him. He spoke in a feeble, quavering voice. And what will you have in the old town? Liane replaced his rapier. I seek the place of whispers. Perhaps you will direct me. The old man made a croaking sound at the back of his throat. Oh, another, when will it cease? He motioned to the corpse. This one came yesterday, seeking the place of whispers. He would steal from Chun the Unavoidable. See him now. He turned away. Come with me. He disappeared over a tumble of rock. Liane followed. The old man stood by another corpse with eye sockets bereft and bloody. This one came 4 days ago, and he met Chun the Unavoidable. And over there, behind the arch, is still a great warrior in Cloison armor. And there, he pointed, and there, like crushed flies. He turned his watery gaze back to Liane. Return, young man, return, lest your body lie here in its green cloak to rot on the flagstones. Liane drew his rapier and flourished it. I am Liane the Wayfarer. Let them who offend me have fear. And where is this place of whispers? If you must know, said the old man, it is beyond that broken obelisk. But you go to your peril. I am Liane the Wayfarer. Peril goes with me. The old man stood like a piece of weathered statuary as Liane strode off. And Liane asked himself, suppose this old man were an agent of Chun, and at this minute were on his way to warn him. Best to take all precautions. He leapt up on a high entablature and ran crouching back to where he had left the ancient. Here he came, muttering to himself, leaning on his staff. Liane dropped the block of granite as large as his head. A thud, a croak, a gasp, and Liane went his way. He strode past the broken obelisk into a wide court, the place of whispers. Directly opposite was a long, wide hall, marked by a leaning column with a big black medallion, the sign of a phoenix and a 2-headed lizard. Liane merged himself with the shadow of a wall and stood watching like a wolf, alert for any flicker of motion. All was quiet. The sunlight invested the ruins with dreary splendor. To all sides, as far as the eye could reach, was broken stone, a wasteland leached by 1,000 rains until now the sense of man had departed and the stone was one with the natural earth. The sun moved across the dark blue sky. Liane presently stole from his vantage point and circled the hall. No sight nor sign did he see. He approached the building from the rear and pressed his ear to the stone. It was dead, without vibration. Around the side, watching up, down to all sides, a breach in the wall. Liane peered inside. At the back hung half a golden tapestry. Otherwise, the hall was empty. Liane looked up, down, this side, that. There was nothing in sight. He continued around the hall. He came to another broken place. He looked within. To the rear hung the golden tapestry. Nothing else to right or left. No sight or sound. Liane continued to the front of the hall and sought into the eaves, dead as dust. He had a clear view of the room, bare, barren, except for a bit of golden tapestry. Liane entered, striding with long, soft steps. He halted in the middle of the floor. Light came to him from all sides except the rear wall. There were a dozen openings from which to flee, and no sound except the dull thudding of his heart. He took 2 steps forward. The tapestry was almost at his fingertips. He stepped forward and swiftly jerked the tapestry down from the wall, and behind was Chun the unavoidable. Liane screamed. He turned on paralyzed legs, and they were leaden, like legs in a dream which refused to run. Chun dropped out of the wall and advanced. Over his shiny black belt he wore a robe of eyeballs threaded on silk. Liane was running, fleetly now. He sprang, he soared, the tips of his toes scarcely touched the ground, out the hall, across the square, into the wilderness of broken statues and fallen columns, and behind came Chun, running like a dog. Liane sped across the crest of a wall and sprang a great gap to the shattered fountain. Behind came Chun. Liane darted up a narrow alley, climbed over a pile of refuse, over a roof, down into a court. Behind came Chun. Liane sped down a wide avenue, lined with a few stunted old cypress trees, and he heard Chun close at his heels. He turned into an archway, pulled his bronze ring over his head, down to his feet. He stepped through, brought the ring up inside the darkness. Sanctuary. He was alone in a dark magic space, vanished from earthly gaze and knowledge. Brooding silence. Dead space. He felt a stir behind him, a breath of air. At his elbow, a voice said,
"I am Chun, the unavoidable."
Lith sat on her couch near the candles, weaving a cap from frog skins. The door to her hut was barred, the windows shuttered. Outside, Thomber Meadow dwelled in darkness. A scrape at her door, a creak as the lock was tested. Lith became rigid and stared at the door. A voice said,
"Tonight, O Lith, tonight it is 2 long, bright threads for you. 2 because the eyes were so great, so large, so golden."
Lith sat quiet. She waited an hour. Then, creeping to the door, she listened. The sense of presence was absent. A frog croaked nearby. She eased the door ajar, found the threads, and closed the door. She ran to her golden tapestry and fitted the threads into the raveled warp. She stared at the golden valley, sick with longing for Ariventa, and tears blurred out the peaceful river, the quiet golden forest. The cloth slowly grows wider. One day it will be done, and I will come home. And that's the story of Liane the Wayfarer. I would say that his main mistake was trying to avoid Chun. I've always loved how little we get of Chun. Like, he's obviously so scary that Liane, who had a weapon, chose to run instead of fight when he saw him. And that one bit where we get where Chun is behind him running like a dog is very evocative. Like, what kind of monster was he? And so the next story is a little bit shorter than the last one. I'm going to take a second here just because I need my voice. The story did end abruptly. He met Chun the Unavoidable. Liane is funny because if you have seen... so the Dying Earth books tend not to be heroic narratives. They're more just like stories of people getting up to stuff. That's not to say there are never heroes in these stories, but more often it's guys like Liane. But something very funny that happens as you're reading the books is Liane shows up from time to time, and he also dies from time to time. And so you start to get the idea that like maybe there's like a cloning facility that is just like making these guys. Yeah, it's a lot of stories about rogues, but also just like there's some stories about like clever wizards trying to get the upper hand on demons and stuff, or like people going into weird old ruins. And that was by Jack Vance. If you like that story, I highly recommend you look into uh, Tales of the Dying Earth, which is his first book in that setting. I think his use of language is so much fun. The way everything like the way people spoke and the way things were described didn't sound like it was emulating like medieval speech, but it had like a cadence to it that doesn't fit with how we speak today. It felt a little bit fancier, but also I think the vibe Vance was going for was like that it had been translated from another language. So it's very poetic, but it's also not quite. Uh, you can't quite place it. Nadir Ebb says it reminds me of George Lucas dialogue. Yeah, it's got that like sort of everybody's speaking larger than life. Part of that is just Liane, but because he's such a show off. Caster says, "Worm, why am I dead?" Well, I've uh, the COVID thing, which appears to have done some, I don't know if it's permanent, but appears to have done some kind of lasting damage to my voice. There's also, I've got this horrible shoulder problem that I'm medicated for right now, and that's uh, that's going great. It's been a rough couple of months, health wise. I could do a different image if you like. How's that? And then we could even do the page two to that. Where is it? Morbid Spade, uh who's just done various art for the channel over the years. Is always posting these in the patron Discord. Let's did I have any others? I think it's just those two right now. Yeah, the Crack Saga. Also, oh, where is it? So I have these actually let me get the why is it an AVIF? Who who asked for an AVIF? Amazing. If you haven't seen, I have these are in the fourth wall store. They're very funny. This came to me in a dream, and I just had to make it. But we have these on shirts and stuff in the merch store, And I keep getting like cis girls coming, like being like, "I love your shirt," and it's like, do you even know what any of this on the shirt is? Like, this is, you're not the target audience for the shirt. It's got a kitty cat on it. She's cute. La criatura. All right, so our second story is The Nightwire by H.F. Arnold. This is from 1929, I think, and it's from Weird Tales, which is the same magazine that used to publish H.P. Lovecraft's work. It's another kind of weird fiction sort of thing. New York, September 30. CP Flash. What is CP actually in Telegram? Actually, I don't want to Google CP Telegram. That would probably not get me results that I want to see. So, Ambassador Hollowell died here today. The end came suddenly as the ambassador was alone in his study. And that's a quote that was a... There's something ungodly about these Nightwire jobs. You sit up here on the top floor of a skyscraper and listen in to the whispers of a civilization. New York, London, Calcutta, Bombay, Singapore, they're your next-door neighbors after the streetlights go dim and the world has gone to sleep. Alone in the quiet hours between 2 and 4, the receiving operators doze over their sounders and the news comes in. Fires and disasters and suicides, murders, crowds, catastrophes. Sometimes an earthquake with a casualty list as long as your arm. The Nightwire man takes it down almost in his sleep, picking it off on his typewriter with one finger. Once in a long time, you prick up your ears and listen. You've heard of someone you knew in Singapore, Halifax, or Paris long ago. Maybe they've been promoted, but more probably they've been murdered or drowned. Perhaps they just decided to quit and took some bizarre way out, made it interesting enough to get in the news. But that doesn't happen often. Most of the time you sit and doze and tap, tap, tap on your typewriter and wish you were home in bed. Sometimes, though, queer things happen. One did the other night and I haven't got over it yet. I wish I could. You see, I handle the night manager's desk in a Western Seaport town. What the name is doesn't matter. There is, or rather was, only one night operator on my staff, a fellow named John Morgan, about 40 years of age, I should say, and a sober, hard-working sort. He was one of the best operators I ever knew, what is known as a double man. That means he could handle 2 instruments at once and type the stories on different typewriters at the same time. He was one of the 3 men I ever knew who could do it consistently, hour after hour, and never make a mistake. Generally, we only used one wire at night, but sometimes, when it was late and the news was coming fast, the Chicago and Denver stations would open a second wire, and then Morgan would do his stuff. He was a wizard, a mechanical, automatic wizard which functioned marvelously, but was without imagination. On the night of the 16th, he complained of feeling tired. It was the first and last time I had ever heard him say a word about himself, and I'd known him for 3 years. It was just 3 o'clock and we were running only one wire. I was nodding over reports at my desk and not paying much attention to him when he spoke. "Jim," he said, "does it feel close in here to you?" "Why, no, John," I answered, "but I'll open a window if you like." "Never mind," he said. "I reckon I'm just a little tired." That was all that was said, and I went on working. Every 10 minutes or so I'd walk over and take a pile of copy that had stacked up neatly beside his typewriter as the messages were printed out in triplicate. It must have been 20 minutes after he spoke that I noticed he'd opened up the other wire and was using both typewriters. I thought it was a little unusual as there was nothing very hot coming in. On my next trip, I picked up the copy from both machines and took it back to my desk to sort out the duplicates. The first wire was running out the usual sort of stuff, and I looked over it hurriedly. Then I turned to the second pile of copy. I remembered it particularly because the story was from a town I had never heard of. Zebico. Here's the dispatch. I saved a duplicate of it from our files. Zebico, September 16th, Capture Point Bulletin. The heaviest mist in the history of the city has settled over the town at 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. All traffic is stopped, and the mist hangs like a pall over everything. Lights of ordinary intensity fail to pierce the fog, which is consistently growing heavier. Scientists here are unable to agree to the cause, and the local weather bureau states that the like has never occurred before in the history of the city. At 7 p.m. last night, municipal authorities... It goes on. That's all there was. Nothing out of the ordinary to bureau headquarters, but, as I say, I noticed the story because of the name of the town. It must have been 15 minutes later that I went over for another batch of copy. Morgan was slumped down in his chair and had switched his green electric light shade so that the gleam missed his eyes and hit only the top of the 2 typewriters. So those green electric light shades, that's that little visor that you see people wearing in like cartoons when they're like doing their taxes. Um, uh, the bare bulbs and electric lights that they had at the time were pretty harsh. So to save your eyes, you would wear one of those, and it would filter out the light for you. Only the usual stuff was in the right-hand pile, but the left-hand batch carried another story from Zebico. All press dispatches come in takes, meaning that parts of many different stories are strung along together, perhaps with but a few paragraphs of each coming through at a time. This second story was marked Add Fog. Here's the copy. Kate She says, I'm not sure what CP means in this contact. Capture point. It says off topic, hot topic. Yeah, I don't know. I just mindlessly repeated that without noticing that he had put a JK in there. But a flash telegram from a wire service means it's like super high priority big news stuff. Yeah. Well, I know that now. I know you're joking now. When you're reading off of like 3 things and watching your levels on the mic and stuff, it's easy for stuff to just get through. Hello, Keener. Glad to see I still got shooters out there. I'm working on 2 videos right now. I'm doing a bigger Zero Parades video, and I've still got the Final Fantasy VIII video going, and they're both a huge amount of work that is happening. Like, just, there hasn't been like a big video like that out in a while, and the reason is because the Final Fantasy VIII one is so huge, and the Zero Parades thing like fell out of nowhere, and I was like, I have to cover this game. And I had the opportunity to do an interview with 2 of the writers that was really cool. That's going to make it into the big video. I might just put the interview up as like a shorter piece to put out before then, just so that some stuff can come out. But yeah, Zero Parades is really cool. Hey Worm, have you ever looked at the game Hell Is Us? Really cool with amazing lore. Let me look. Yes, I was born on January 1st, 1990. It's not when I was born. It's like a third-person action game. It was like someone doing like Stalker Dark Souls. Is that what's going on here? Kinda looks like it. The visuals look very nice. I like the little drone too, that's cute. Hell Is Us almost feels like an SCP long tails take on the Civil War in the Balkans. Oh, is this like set during the like Yugoslavia imploding? No, it's new because he's got a drone, right? It looks interesting. I'll have to give this a closer look later. It's only souls in the sense that you have a stamina bar. Yeah, I was just looking at the kind of UI is very soulsy. It's got the items on the lower left and the mapped to the D-pad. Yeah, it does look like a Kojima thing. Maybe I can paste an image just so people at home know what I'm talking about. Where is it? So I was just saying it looked like Souls because of, you've got just like the UI layout, but that might just be a good way to do a layout. And I remember getting very annoyed when people kept saying that Silent Hill F was Silent Hill Souls, because it's like, you can't just call every third-person action game a Souls game. Yeah, it does look neat. Samuel Martin says that it'd be cool to see the FF8 video. Weirdly, it's the only FF game I've ever played because my dad bought it on sale from the PlayStation Store. It's a really good one, and it came out. It had like the Wind Waker effect a little bit, where like everybody loved Ocarina. Majora's Mask, people didn't love it at the time, but it came to be really well appreciated. And then people really liked the dark turn that Ocarina takes toward the halfway through, or not even like a third of the way through, and they were really excited for like the next gen console to be like, oh, it's going to be more mature and darker, and it was like much cartoonier, and people at the time just like hated, like Americans like hated Wind Waker. It was crazy. And then so they went the other direction for Twilight Princess, and I think Wind Waker is the one that stands the test of time much better. Silent Hill has a stamina system since the OG. Zoomers don't know what makes a Souls-like actually a Souls-like. Yeah, they just didn't used to have a bar. You just get tired from, you'd have to listen to Harry's breathing. And so yeah, so Final Fantasy VIII, it came out after 7, and it was just like visually very different, like tonally a bit different. And I think people were like, no, I wanted more like edgy, dark storylines with Sephiroth. Barrett, Tifa, we have to defeat Sephiroth. He's real. Wind Waker's amazing. I love Wind Waker Link. I wish Nintendo would get the hint and sell an actual like a shirt of the lobster shirt that he starts with that isn't just a t-shirt. It's his little crayfish tunic or whatever he's got in the beginning. Yeah, it was the 2000s. If you weren't like mallcore, you were nobody. All right, let's get back to the Nightwire. Zebiko, September 16th, CP Bulletin. The heaviest mist in the history of the city settled over the town at 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. All traffic is stopped and the mist hangs like a pall over everything. Lights of ordinary intensity fail to pierce the fog, which is constantly growing heavier. Scientists here are unable to agree as to the cause, and the local weather bureau states that the like has never occurred before in the history of the city. At 7 p.m. last night, municipal authorities... It goes on. That was all there was. Nothing out of the ordinary to bureau headquarters, but as I say, yeah, I'll just keep reading from here. But as I say, I noticed the story because of the name of the town. It must have been 15 minutes later that I went over for another batch of copy. Morgan was slumped over his chair and had switched his green electric light shade so that the gleam missed his eyes and hit only the top of the 2 typewriters. Why is my thing being weird now? Perhaps with but a few photographs of each coming through at a time. The second story was marked, Add Fog. Here's the copy. At 7 p.m., the fog had increased noticeably. All lights were now invisible, and the town was shrouded in pitch darkness. As a peculiarity of the phenomena, the fog is accompanied by a sickly odor, comparable to nothing yet experienced here. Below that, in customary press fashion, was the hour, 3:27, and the initials of the operator, JM. There was only one other story in the pile from the second wire. Here it is. Second, add Zebiko fog. Accounts to the origin of the mist differ greatly. Among the most unusual is that of the sexton of the local church who groped his way to the headquarters in a hysterical condition and declared that the fog originated in the village churchyard. It was first visible in the shape of a soft gray blanket clinging to the earth above the graves, he stated. Then it began to rise, higher and higher. A subterranean breeze seemed to blow it in billows, which spilt up and joined together again. Fog phantoms writhing in anguish and twisted the mist into queer forms and figures. And then, in the very thick midst of the mass, something moved. I turned and ran from the accursed spot. Behind me I heard screams coming from the houses bordering the graveyard. Although the sexton's story is generally discredited, a party has left to investigate. Immediately after telling his story, the sexton collapsed and is now in a local hospital unconscious. Queer story, wasn't it? Not that we aren't used to it, for a lot of unusual stories come in over the wire, but for some reason or other, perhaps because it was so quiet that night, the report of the fog made a great impression on me. It was almost with dread that I went over the waiting piles of copy. Morgan did not move, and the only sound in the room was the tap-tap of the sounders. It was ominous, nerve-wracking. There was another story from Zebico in the pile of copy. I seized on it anxiously. New lead, Zebico Fog CP. The rescue party, which went out at 11 p.m. to investigate the weird story of the origin of the fog, which, since late yesterday, has shrouded the city in darkness, has failed to return. Another and larger party has been dispatched. Meanwhile, the fog has, if possible, grown heavier. It seeps through the cracks of the doors and fills the atmosphere with a terribly depressing odor of decay. It is oppressive, terrifying, bearing with it a subtle impression of things long dead. Residents of the city have left their homes and gathered in the local church, where the priests are holding services of prayer. The scene is beyond description. Grown folk and children alike are terrified. Many are almost beside themselves with fear. Mid the wisps of vapor which partially veil the church auditorium, an old priest is praying for the welfare of his flock. The audience alternately wail and cross themselves. From the outskirts of the city may be heard cries of unknown voices. They echo through the fog in queer, uncadenced minor keys. The sounds resemble nothing so much as wind whistling through a gigantic tunnel. But the night is calm, and there is no wind. The second rescue party, so it goes. I am a calm man, and have never in a dozen years spent with the wires have known to become excited. But despite myself, I rose from my chair and walked to the window. Could I be mistaken? Or far down in the canyons of the city beneath me did I see a faint trace of fog? Pshaw, it was all imagination. In the press room, the click of the sounder seemed to have raised the tempo of their tune. Morgan alone had not stirred from his chair. His head sunk between his shoulders. He tapped the dispatches out on the typewriters with one finger of each hand. He looked asleep. Maybe he was, but no. Endlessly, efficiently, the two machines rattled off, line after line, as relentless and effortless as death itself. There was something about the monotonous movement of the typewriter keys that fascinated me. I walked over and stood behind his chair, reading over his shoulder as the type came into being, word by word. And here was another. Flash, Zebico, CP. There will be no more bulletins from this office. The impossible has happened. No more messages have come into this room for 20 minutes. We are cut off from the outside and even the streets below us. I will stay with the wire until the end. It is the end indeed. Since 4 p.m. yesterday, the fog has hung over the city. Following reports from the sexton of the local church, 2 rescue parties were sent out to investigate the conditions on the outskirts of the city. Neither party has ever returned, nor has any word been received from them. It is quite certain now that they will never return. From my instrument, I can gaze down on the city beneath me. From the position of this room on the 13th floor, nearly the entire city can be seen. Now, I can see only a blanket of blackness where customarily are lights and life. I fear greatly the wailing cries heard constantly from the outskirts of the city are the death cries of the inhabitants. They are constantly increasing in volume and are approaching the center of the city. The fog yet hangs over everything. If possible, it is even heavier than before, but the conditions have changed. Instead of an opaque, impenetrable wall of odorous vapor, now swirls and writhes a shapeless mass in contortions of almost human agony. Now and again the mass parts, and I catch a brief glimpse of the streets below. People are running to and fro, screaming in despair. A vast bedlam of sound flies up to my window, and above all is the immense whistling of unseen and unfelt winds. The fog has again swept over the city, and the whistling is coming closer and closer. It is now directly beneath me. God! An instant ago the mist opened, and I caught a glimpse of the streets below. The fog is not simply vapor. It lives. By the side of each moaning and weeping human is a companion figure, an aura of strange and varicolored hues. How the shapes cling, each to a living thing! The men and women are down, flat on their faces. The fog figures caress them lovingly. They are kneeling beside them. But I dare not tell it. The prone and writhing bodies have been stripped of their clothing. They are being consumed, piecemeal. A merciful wall of hot, steamy vapor has swept over the whole scene. I can see no more. Beneath me, the vapor is changing colors. It seems to be lighted by internal fires. No, it isn't. I have made a mistake. The colors are from above, reflections of the sky. Look up! Look up! The whole sky is in flames. Colors as yet unseen by man or demon. The flames are moving. They have started to intermix. The colors rearrange themselves. They are so brilliant that my eyes burn, yet they're a long way off. Now they have begun to swirl, to circle in and out, twisting in intricate designs and patterns. The lights are racing with each, a kaleidoscope of unearthly brilliance. I have made a discovery. There is nothing harmful in the lights. They radiate force and friendliness, almost cheeriness, but by their very strength they hurt. As I look, they are swinging closer and closer, 1,000,000 miles at each jump, millions of miles with the speed of light. Aye, it is light, the quintessence of all light. Beneath it, the fog melts into a jeweled mist, radiant and rainbow-colored of 1,000 varied spectrums. I can see the streets. Why, they're filled with people. The lights are coming closer. They're all around me. I am enveloped. The message stopped abruptly. The wire to Zebico was dead. Beneath my eyes, in the narrow circle of light from under the green lampshade, the black printing no longer spun itself, letter by letter, across the page. The room seemed filled with a solemn quiet, a silence vaguely impressive, powerful. I looked down at Morgan. His hands had dropped nervously at his sides while his body had hunched over peculiarly. I turned the lampshade back, throwing the light squarely in his face. His eyes were staring, fixed. Filled with a sudden foreboding, I stepped beside him and called Chicago on the wire. After a second, the sounder clicked its answer. Why? But there was something wrong. Chicago was reporting that the wire 2 had not been used throughout the evening. Morgan! I shouted. Morgan, wake up! It isn't true! Someone has been hoaxing us! Why? In my eagerness, I grasped him by the shoulder. It was only then that I understood. The body was quite cold. Morgan had been dead for hours. Could it be that his sensitized brain and automatic fingers had continued to record impressions even after the end? I shall never know, for I shall never again handle the night shift. Search in a world atlas discloses no town of Zepico. Whatever it was that killed John Morgan will forever remain a mystery. Yeah, that very much does feel like a Look Outside story, or maybe I would put it closer to like not SCP, but I like Magnus Archives or yeah, I like that. I saw somebody complaining about the twist at the end when I was looking the story up, and like what they were like mad that they didn't get to find out about Zebico. But like the story is that a dead man was transmitting messages from some other place, some other world. And like I think it wouldn't be very scary if the story told you what happens after you die. Like no, that was a good one. That was recommended by one of the worms. Who recommended that? Inez. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know how it is, Randall, where it's like, so I haven't finished Deltarune Chapter 5 yet, but I have seen people like already complaining that their pet theories didn't come true or something. And it's like, well, I don't think Toby is trying to like he's trying to tell a story, you know, like get out of the man's way. Let's get to see if we can get Cataclysm going here. Might have to try this a couple of times. It's a weird program to stream. Marlon says, it's interesting in the way various forms of media embed a certain amount of context into each segment of experience. It is, but I'm not sure 100% what you mean. Marlon, if you can expand on that, I would be happy to chat about it. Because I'm curious about what specifically you mean in regards to what we were just reading or Undertale. Oh, yes, I see. Yeah, like with audio, you have to remember all parts of the sentence as you hear it. Yeah, it's weird. So I can't like do audiobooks, but I was, because, you know, if you stop paying attention for like 2 seconds, the words just slide right by you. Right, and if you're going through a visual novel, every sentence remains on the screen for you to read through. Exactly. Nadir Ebb says, I have crazy bad migraines and visuals are like that for me, which is why I like hearing stories read like this. Yeah, so I was reading, I was doing another reread of Book of the New Sun, and normally I can't handle audiobooks because they just turn into noise really fast if I'm not like focusing on them. But because I have read the book before multiple times, having that just wasn't a problem, and I was getting new stuff out of it, like hearing it read aloud rather than reading it myself, which was cool. Do it if I capture full screen application. Let's see, is that working? It doesn't look like it is. Okay, so I might have to just do screen capture. The reader. Oh yeah, it's so Cataclysm doesn't like being captured. It's just really annoying that way. I've never understood why. It's not stuff I'm good with, but I should probably get it fixed since I'm now responsible for it. But let me just do. Let's just do like that. Eh. Okay, that should be working, right? Yeah. Okay. Going to switch one thing over just so I can see it on my second screen now. Yes, monkey, yes. Oh, that's not even what I wanted. One of these cables is a charger. That was not it. That was the mic. I knew there was a charger over here. Okay. Let's get some audio going. I just have to... I just have to turn it up. Like that. Okay, how's the audio on the, sort of, the music there? Is that good? You ever try to chew a fry, have it evade capture by your teeth, and then fix the problem and have it happen again like it's some sort of fry-shaped parasite? Yeah, I have failed to eat before. Just don't want the sound effects to be super loud. Okay. We'll just skip through that and start making a character. I never really stream this game. I don't even get to play it all that often because I'm always working on it. But people are always asking me to, oh, you should stream Cataclysm, and it's like, you don't understand, the game is very different to me than it is to other people. We can show off the changes to, we can just make Asgore again. Let's see. Rat Princess. I don't like the prison start. You just get stuck in a in like such a specific location for a really long time. It is the day after Deltarune. I think we won't make Asgore. We'll make a more normal character. Kalari Payatu? Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, where's we'll do Hunted. And we will do melee style. Kind of, what kind of person would know Kalari Payatu? Career politician? We're just tirelessly campaigning for a... There's still too many of these. I need to slim some of these down a little bit. Deltarune in -1 days. Can you believe it, guys? We could be a patriot. Let's see. Should spend too long on these. We'll be the mailman. So Kalari Payatu uses perception. Dexterity is pretty important for it. Yeah, I'd say 9, 10, 8, 12 is okay. We already are hunted. We can add some more to that. We could have allergies. And go with Glassjaw. And then to balance that out, we'll take... Actually, we'll probably want to take some skills real fast, like melee 1. What does cheerleader start with? Why is it so far down? Where is it? Cheerleader. It's still just 1 point. Yeah, the 2 points start at Taylor. So I don't think it starts with much of anything. Yeah, 3 dodge, 3 athletics, 3 socials, not bad. We could be like cold tolerant would be nice. Like cold tolerant and spiritual. And then just like a point of mechanics so we can get some oh, we have a bunch of points. Okay. Mechanics and devices are really nice to have early. They open up a lot of crafting stuff and they're hard to train. I guess for one last thing, we will take a point of... Gosh, I don't know. Maybe like a 1 point trait. What do we got? Easy Sleeper is pretty good. Okay, we will give this fella a name. Refugio Squad Weston, Keenan Stroud, Thomas Riddle, Homer Silverman. We'll know it when we see it. Benton Brock. All right. We'll just leave everything else to default. I'm not really too pressed about that. Okay, so Benton Brock. Oh, we didn't get our style. It reset. Okay. I was wondering why our stuff was so high. Yeah, that'll do it. Okay, we got a melee style. We'll start with Karepeatu, which is a martial art that is from... it's from Kerala in India. It is... they often say it's the oldest martial art in the world. I don't think that's actually true, but it is really old. And it is... let's see if we can get a... Oh, where's that? Karepeatu originates from India's Kerala region. In modern times, it was frequently seen as performance, but its roots go back to the battlefields of the 11th century, where warriors with blades and little to no armor needed a combat system that would keep them out of harm's way long enough to deliver a decisive blow. And so the martial art gives you an extra dodge. You can dodge 1 extra time per turn. It's an armed martial art. You don't use it with your bare hands. And what you do is you get Successive Strike, which is a weak attack that is faster than normal. And once you crit with it, it unlocks... what is the other stance called? It unlocks... It puts you in Sima Vadivu, which is like... it's like lion stance is what I think that means. And then your attacks get really strong and do a lot more damage based on your perception. And... that lasts for a couple of seconds. and if you crit while you're doing that, it's even better. It's really cool. So basically, you just kind of crit fish until you get one, and then it procs a kind of a mode where you do a lot of damage, but your defense goes down. We don't have a weapon at all right now, so we'll stick to brawling. Where are we? We're at a golf course. Okay. Oh, hey, the fat pretzel. Worm cult, member 2 months. Why is the... There we go. The chat box is not cooperating today. So we don't really want to fight this zombie barehanded if we don't have to. That's not what I thought it was going to do. So we can use this wall to kind of like juke them. We'll lure them out into this little garden area here. What do we have there? There's some items there. I'm thinking if there's a golf club, that might do really well for us, but we're going to need to do some movement tech to get it. So this grass, if you have never played this game, this grass is... I just realized there might be people watching who aren't innately familiar with this game. So it's the end of the world. We're alone in a zombie apocalypse, and the immediate situation we begin in usually has us completely outnumbered and unable, you can't just run up and fight like 4 zombies barehanded usually. So we need to get a weapon and we need to get to safety. And luring zombies over this kind of rough terrain like these tall grasses or these bushes slows them down. It slows us down too, but because we're a human being, we're smart enough to like walk in a way that is more efficient. It's just a golf ball. Well, I'll still grab it, whatever. See, so we've kind of ditched them all back here. What do we got? Don't need a cap. So that's kind of a bad luck there. Oh, no clubs. What's up here? If we crouch, they can't see us. Because we're like below the windowsill there. Alright, so we got some beer, we got some chips. We may as well just eat all of these chips right now. We'll take the beer. If that was really all that was up here, huh? Are these golf carts doing okay? Yeah, this one looks like it's alright. And we are driving. Oh, I need to give golf carts off-road tires. That's right. Because right now they get damaged driving over grass. Golf cart method is back in business. Yeah. So our next goal is going to be to find some place where we can hole up and get supplies. This is the highway. Kind of goes through here, and we've got a town to our west. There's also the swamp here. Swamps get dangerous as the game goes on, but usually early game they're not too bad. We could maybe get like a stick. Here's a stick right here, I think. So the stick is not a good weapon, but it is technically one. If we were really hard up, these bamboo shoots and these cattails are food. These are bullet casings. Somebody else was fighting zombies here in the past. Yeah, I don't see too much of use out there. Just imagining the little golf cart trying its best while a bunch of zombies trail behind it. Exactly. Okay, so this is this is an APC that the military looks like they got bombed or something here. There's a broken M2HB Browning on the roof. That's a shame. It's a 50 caliber machine gun, but it's broke. Is digging up cattail rhizomes and bamboo shoots even a caloric positive, given the fact that you're probably going to get assaulted by zombies and stuff? It is if you have the skills for it. So foraging is not a guaranteed thing, and it takes a little while and costs some calories. If you are looking for the right things, and if your character has good survival skill, which we do not, it is like a small positive usually. I'm starting to see monsters. There's an oversized slug out there. A slimy gastropod without a shell. Normally smaller than a human finger, this one is bigger than a squirrel. Somebody said, somebody once said, oh god, what was it? It was like tile-based mutable vehicle system with tank controls in a roguelike is is a completely insane statement, but it does work pretty well. Okay, we have some bodies out here. From time to time you'll come across these corpses, and it might look tempting, but the yellow triangle there means that the corpse is in good enough shape to get back up as a zombie, and these ones are probably they're almost certainly sleepers. So if I go over there, they'll actually just jump up and start attacking all in a group, which is not great. Can we get another stick? No. We'll put a stick in our golf cart. So we can just drop the item in this box here and it'll stick around so we can carry it even if we don't have a bag or anything. Do we have a jacket on? No, so this will be great. Grab a couple of rocks. And actually, so I'm removing these practice recipes kind of when I get the chance. But for the time being, if you have them and they're still white, it's usually a good idea to use them. There are only a few left, and most of them are just like, because you could do this thing by hand and it would be really annoying to do, but people would still do it, like throwing. So if we just like threw our golf ball at this tree for a minute, we would gain ranks. So we can just automate that here. Yes, where's the feral human? Okay, he cannot see us. So these feral humans are humans that have, whatever caused the zombie outbreak has sort of melted their brains, and they are hostile to everything. And they are except the zombies. So even though they're still alive, the zombies kind of think that they're one of them. And they're pretty nasty. They can throw rocks, and they've usually got like a crowbar or something. They hit pretty hard. It's just an umbrella. There's a thermos. Okay, we've got some soda to drink. That'll help if we get thirsty. Ice cream truck. Okay, we got some food here. So this ice cream truck is depending on what kind of shape it's in, this could be a huge deal. Are the tires all working? Yeah, okay, so this ice cream truck is an amazing find this early in the game. I hate wing mirrors. It has it has 2 freezers and a ton of storage space. It's got multiple exits and aisles, which are great if like zombies kind of swamped the car, we'd have other ways to get out. Oh, it's out of gas. Okay. Well, we will remember where it is. So now it's just on our map that it'll... There's ice cream truck here. This is like slug slime. Every time I have played Cata, I have died to a feral, says Pell. That'll happen. Is that taking our throwing up any further? Yes, it is. So we can get 2 ranks of throwing here. 2 ranks of throwing is like enough to like effectively throw rocks. So now that we have that, we can make sure that we grab some rocks, and that'll kind of even the odds if we try to fight any of these zombies. Maybe we should do that. The main thing when you play this game is just be careful. It takes a while to get to the point where you know what you can and can't handle. So we can kind of zip back to the golf cart course because there were just like 4 or 5 there. OMG, docking the golf cart to the ice cream truck like the submarines in Subnautica. We actually need to have some rocks if we're going to try to throw any. Ah. There's a bunch over here. Okay. Couple down this way. Occasionally you'll find stuff like this. This is like just a patch of like rocks and rocky soil. This rocky soil has a normal move cost, but this rubble has a 400 move cost. And so do these big boulders. And that means that it's 4 times as expensive as normal to walk over one of these. So if you can bait zombies over here, you can use this thing kind of like as a sort of a naturally occurring way to trip them up while you just throw rocks at them. Or, you know, do whatever. Shoot them with a gun, that kind of thing. Shoot bullets out of your gun at them. I love it. It's like dive from a moving vehicle. It's going 4 miles an hour. Okay, we can throw this thing out to about there. So unlike aiming, throwing is instant. We don't have to like wind up our aim or anything. So that's 10 damage. We hit him from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Using circular distance, that's probably about 8 or 9 tiles away, because diagonals are longer than orthogonals. So he's only got, you know, about 70 hit points or something. So 10 is a pretty good amount. Oh, that one didn't pierce his armor. And we can kind of do this all day because we are just walking. We're not having to run or anything. Reenact the Battle of the Mounds. Okay, let me grab the stick, and we'll run just to get a couple of steps away from him, just because you want to have that distance for safety. You only have to run a couple of steps, and then once you've got the little window between you, you're safe. Grab our stick, run a little further. Oh, he actually one of them took a swipe at us just now. So this symbol here means that he fell down. I can actually make it so that the tile flips like 90 degrees when they fall. I really should do that because it would look really funny. I just haven't got around to it. Okay, so if I kind of go this way, yeah, and it doesn't really matter for him, but that symbol there means that he's on unsteady ground, so like he can't dodge very well. But zombies don't really dodge anyway, not regular ones. Okay, so we've killed one zombie. And the reason I wanted to get these is because they might have stuff. Zombies will frequently have useful items on them. They're not the best source of useful items, but our options are a little bit limited at the moment. Okay, so he's down a little bit above half health. Just grab these rocks as we go past them. Okay, our stamina is starting to get low, so we can't really run anymore. We're just gonna have to hit trade here. Okay. So we smashed them to make sure they're never gonna get up again. And that wasn't great. We took quite a bit of damage to our torso there. But, could be worse, I suppose. We are in unmanageable pain now, which means we should not try to do any more fighting until that goes back down. And it just goes down over time. Although if we had medicine, we could use it. This guy's got a laptop. That could be useful. Collect our rocks back up so that we don't have to do any more melee fighting. Alright, and we'll grab this newspaper. Riots continue in South America, Africa. Although reports are inconsistent, it's been confirmed the widespread rioting in poverty-stricken regions of Africa and South America, as well as some parts of Indonesia, Asia, the Middle East, Eastern Europe, have continued and only grown in severity. It's obvious this is a social media effect, said political science professor Dr. Eli Savage. Economists have been saying that for some time the current situation of developed nations, forcing underdeveloped nations into semi-slavery, couldn't last, and now we're seeing the repercussions. The economy did this. Okay, so we can pop upstairs and just chill out in the pro shop. Also, I didn't notice that there are two vending machines, but they are okay, they're not on. Oh, that's not good. There's a child zombie there. just chill it over here for a while. Okay, we can throw rocks at this child. And our pain is really hindering us here. So I don't want to try to fight her. But there's one other strategy we can try. Oh god, she's in the... So if they get in your car, there's a funny thing you can do that I can try now. So I've grabbed her and I just threw her out. You hit G and you can grab things and grapple them. And we have killed her. We ran her over with a golf cart. We use this big rock to smash her. Smashing uses your weapon damage, and bash damage is very good for it, so anything you have that has high bash is really good. Other damage types work, it's just bash is the best. She's got a mechanics book, and a book that we can read for fun. So yeah, the mistake people always make is they think that you have to like run up and like attack the zombies with a weapon, and you saw how much worse that went for us than just throwing rocks or running them over the car or something. Eventually you get to the point where you can fight them very effectively with melee weapons, but you don't start at that point usually. So we can read our books and just try to chill out and let ourselves heal. I would love it if we had... Yeah, let's take one of these curtains down. We don't really need it. If we disassemble the bed sheet, we get cloth sheets, and we can make bandages out of those. So these makeshift bandages are... even though we're not bleeding, if you put bandages on an injured body part, it will heal faster. So you always just want to have as many bandages on hand as you can. Okay, we will have a beer. I guess a third of a beer. We'll drink more. And we'll continue reading about mechanics. Yeah, this is a much more traditional roguelike design, as you say, Pell, where you're not really good at anything to begin with, usually. But the game's about adapting to the challenges. So this song, to me, is the Cataclysm song. Like, this is what I always think of. This song wasn't written for Cataclysm, it's just from Coag, who makes a lot of these sort of ambient horror tracks and has done for years. But to me, this is like Cataclysm's version of like the Resident Evil safe room theme from 2. So we can read this for our morale, which is good. And our pain's gone, so we can get back out to that. It's become foggy in the time since we started reading. I was surprised at how, not to toot my own horn, I was surprised at how nice this fog effect turned out. Oh, unfortunately, that battle did for our golf cart. So, what is this? Electric super compact car? Yes. Oh, it doesn't have an engine. Okay. I'm not gonna hotwire that car because the alarm will never stop going off. Okay. We have a multi-tool. Actually, we have... I can't remember if you need electronics to hotwire a car. You should, but it might be mechanics because somebody thought, oh, mechanics is cars. Anyway, it may be time to take a look at this house. Just one of these ones like on the perimeter here. See if we can sneak in and get some loot. The alarm will never stop going off is hyperbole. It just makes a noise. The biggest problem is that it makes a noise that is really annoying when you have the sound pack turned on. The fog has cleared up, but it's almost 7 o'clock. The sun is kind of going down here. Here's an item that doesn't have a tile yet. Okay, so what do we see from back here? There's one zombie, kind of a park thing going on here. Down here, there's this wooden house. Is that just a wrapper? Yeah. Okay, I think this house is going to be a bust because I see graffiti on it. There's a civilian over here. These are people who are like they're like the feral humans. They just don't, they're not violent. They just kind of run around and make noise. Zombies chase after them. There is no saving them because their brains have also been cooked. Thirst is getting bad. That's always something you want to keep an eye on. So we'll drink our soda. None of these houses look... Wow, look at how many there are over here. Yeah, that would be bad. This guy is really tough, this grappler zombie. We want to stay away from those as much as possible. But we can just walk up the highway and see what we can see from our kind of safe distance. This might be our house that we want to check. And we've got our mini-map on the lower right, and I can kind of see where the monsters down there are. So it's looking reasonably safe. I almost stepped right on that guy. Okay, we're down to just thirsty now. Okay, there's a bunch of guys on the road up there, it looks like. Here they are. They were fighting a big slug. Alright, what about over here? We might be able to get in that window. It might be just smarter to wait until sunset, so we can just kind of chill over here. There's some... Ooh. Okay, I'll grab these vegetable pies and they will be kind of good by the time we're... Turn off freezer so that the battery doesn't fully drain while we just sit here. And we'll crouch down so they can't see us from up front. We'll wait about half an hour. We'll check our bandages actually in the meantime. Okay, sun's down. So our night vision isn't very... It's a little bit better than normal because we started with higher perception. One of the things I changed was I upped the way that perception scales night vision because it was pretty restrictive in DDA and kind of relied on you having a trait, and everybody just took the trait at character creation. So it's like I took the trait away and made it more reliant on the stat. Okay, we are in this house. We've sneaked in through the window. Got Battlehammer 20K, a strategy game featuring a set of tiny figurines of space aliens and grotesque space marines. We'll take the Warhammer. Okay. I think we already have a messenger bag, yeah. Although their messenger bag is better, so I will get rid of ours. And one thing you can do with messenger bags that is pretty cool is adjust them, and they go on a different part of your body. So now instead of being worn on our torso where it's getting hit all the time, it's worn on our thigh where it's less likely to be hit. Ooh, all kinds of great medicine in here. That's a really nice find. I'll grab the cotton balls, the ibuprofen. Chlorpromazine is antipsychotics. I don't need those. Soap I'll grab because you kind of always need soap. Okay, I haven't yet made it so that you need a can opener to open cans, so those are currently kind of useless. If there's a good knife in here, we can start using our martial art, actually, so let's look for one of those. Garbage bags are sort of broadly useful, so are candles. And one thing I always tell people is don't pick up every little piece of trash you come across just because you think like, oh, maybe someday I'll use this paring knife or something. Like, it's much better to not do that because you're kind of robbing your future gameplay. And also excessive clutter can kind of cause slowdown and stuff. So. And Kalarippayattu needs whips, short swords, knives, batons, and medium swords. And for knives, it has to actually be like a fighting knife. It can't just be like a kitchen knife. Crouching makes our footsteps quieter, so it's a good idea if we're not in a hurry. Ooh, denim shirt. Okay. So denim shirt is an upgrade over whatever we were wearing. I think our mail carrier shirt. So that didn't really have any protection at all, but the denim shirt does have a point or two. So, why not? Oh, I didn't grab any of this stuff. Adhesive gauze patch, real bandages, medical tape, antiseptic is great. Already got some ibuprofen, but I'll take a little bit more. we completely silent when we're moving around? I guess we are when we're crouching. That's nice. Okay, and this house is like one of those, like, it's like a townhouse, so there's two houses in side by side. Okay, we can hear something kind of moving around there. We'll probably have to fight if we... get too close. Although we might be able to bait him over here and lose him in the construction site. Oh, it's just a kid. Let's throw rocks at it. Okay, yeah. So the zombie kid, not very bright. We could just kind of bait him into the half-built wall area and then just ditch him. That tough zombie is more of a problem. Ooh, open window, okay. But it's a broken window, which means that something probably broke it. So we're probably not alone in here. What are arm warmers worn on? Are they close to skin? Yeah, we'll wear those. So arm warmers, I don't think they have any armor, but they are just a little bit of warmth. Always nice to have. Okay, we've got a hammer. It's damaged, so it won't be much good in a fight, but it's still nice to have a hammer. The duct tape is goated, always, says foil. Pipe cleaners are something you should always grab too. You should always have one or two of them. Is there anything to drink in here? We could eat this citrus fruit. Have the rest of our stout. And this yogurt. And these pine nuts. We got a little buzz going, which does mess up our stats a little bit, but not too bad. Oh, Diet Cola. We'll have that too. Another screwdriver. Antacid tablets are sort of broadly useful. Yeah. They stop nausea, which can be really important sometimes and never important the rest of the time. This is not a mod, Tapayak. It's a fork. It is a different game. It is forked from the original game, but there's no... They don't share a code base anymore, so... They have diverged and are two different things. Trash is usually not very useful, but sometimes you find something good. Oh, those gallon zipper bags are actually nice. So these bins, they have wheels on them, and just like grabbing it and dragging it around is a pretty decent way to carry loot if you're going house to house like this. That is a plastic rake, or I would have switched weapons. I think I've already got a multi-tool. Okay, these couple of houses haven't been so good. The townhouses usually don't have a ton of great stuff. The food was nice, though. We've actually already been in here. Ooh, a hose. So these hoses, you can use them to siphon gasoline from one car into a container or something. Let's see if we can make room for this thing. Got too much crap on us already. Okay. Headlamp. Put that right on. Now we can... Oh boy. Stealth is over. Stealth is over forever. So we have got a chainsaw. Gotta actually make sure I'm not getting surrounded, though. Oh, that was quick, yeah. They got us. Chainsaws do a ton of damage, but it's no good if you're if you get an unlucky grab and they just... It can go that quick. I wanted to show off the chainsaw for a minute, though, because if you're not getting grabbed like that, you can... It's like getting the hammer in Smash Brothers or something. You just do so much damage, but the thing breaks pretty quickly. So that was Benton. Yeah, overconfidence is a quick and insidious killer. That's true. That's okay, though. I was getting pretty tired. Obviously, my voice is not so good now. I want to thank everybody for coming by. And yeah, still just recording and editing. That's how it goes, Nadir. You blink and you miss it. Anyway, the if you've been waiting to get the game, it's on sale on Steam, although it's also just free on GitHub. And oh, I should mention, I think the website is good now. CataclysmTLG.com. So CataclysmTLG.com now actually has a working landing page, and that has a link to the GitHub and everything. Still waiting for DNS certification or whatever, which takes like a day or so, but you can go to the website and see it. And thank you to Pell for helping me get that up and running. Randall says, I liked both short stories. I really like Liane the Wayfarer. It's one of my favorite short stories. I think, I think outside of the, just the fun of the story itself, there's a lot there that, like the gold makes me think of Lane Dell, and I wonder if because every fantasy author has read Vance, like it's mandatory. And so especially like somebody like Martin. And so I wonder if the that having gold in your eyes is like what the tarnished are. And oh, hey, Mantha. If you're, oh gosh, my throat. Yeah, if you're wanting to catch the VOD, it'll be up in a sec. Anyway, thanks again, everybody, and I'll see y'all next time.